Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 episode 2 of the Talk podcast. Now we've got a few things up on the list that we would actually, which I'd like to actually talk about in this podcast. We do have some very interesting things. Kicking things off with the brand new Ford Bronco, which I've now been absolutely addicted to actually saying it in that way. I don't know why. I know it's called the Ford Bronco. Now I'm just doing it on its own. Anyway, for Ford Bronco, which I recently just did a episode of Car Talk. A new episode of News Talks on my main channel, all about everything about a car, and I just want to go back through it for those who are not part of my main channel, in which there will be a link in the description box down below. The channel name is Finn Haley-Hughes, that is my name. I talk a lot about cars, and this episode as well is going to be very car based, because what we've got is a new Ford Bronco. We are going to talk about should Mercedes revive the SLR Mclaren, because there's been rumours and there's been concept arts of a possible replacement that will be coming out in maybe in the next couple of years. How Ferrari lost their trademark license to their most prized possession, the 250 GTO. We'll be talking about that soon. As well as Hyundai with making a manual gearbox that you don't need a clutch pedal for. That's also something that seems really interesting. And we'll talk about other things if we have the time. But as for that, that's the main focus of today's podcast. My name is Finn Haley-Hughes, and this is the Talk podcast. So friends, let's kick things off with a brand new Ford Bronco. I just finished recording an episode of News Talks on my main channel, and now I've got into such an obsession with trying to call the Ford Bronco like that, so that my B just goes yeah. I don't know why, but now, because I'm saying that, I'm thinking I'm turning Italian, kind of, because because I'm sorry to anyone who is Italian, but when you talk in English, you just have a greatest way of talking in English. The Italian accent, talking in English, is like the greatest thing I've ever heard. Literally, it's like the greatest thing I've ever heard for a human being. Because everyone just goes, "Hey, do you want some pizza? Oh, let's go around in my Ford Bronco, and I'm going to get myself some spaghetti. You want some spaghetti bolognese? Oh, Ferrari is the best car manufacturer in the world. I'm sorry if you are offended, but you just have the greatest accent for saying things in English. You just do. Anyway, moving on. Ford Bronco. I think this car, or SUV, truck, whatever you want to call it, it's an off-roading beast. I think this is going to be the coolest thing America has ever made. Right, okay, America has made some of the greatest cars ever. Where we are harking back all the way to the 1960s with things like the original Ford Bronco, the Mustang, the GT40, let's not forget about that one. Of course, you have things like Carl Shelby with his amazing creations of the Shelby Cobra, his help with making the Ford GT40, Dodge with Charges and Challenges, Pontiac Firebirds, and let's not forget about the Pontiac Aztec. You know, just cars like those. And then you've got the weird things like the Chevrolet SSR panel van. Like, what? That's amazing. But yeah, but this genuinely talking is probably in my mind the best thing that's come out of a American car manufacturer in the 21st century. Last night at 1 AM I watched the live show where they were basically talking about it and talking about all the things they can do, what options you have, and it's just amazing. I won't talk about it all because if you wanna know all the info, then again a little bit of a personality plug. Go to my main channel. But there's things like so many options. You've got like 200 different customizable options for the blooming car, and you've got different versions. You've got like 2-door versions, 4-door versions. You've got a sport version. How insane it can go through rivers, go over mountains, rocks, dirt, sand. It's just amazing. So I think before Bronco, if I could afford one, I probably would actually have one. And also, if I was able to actually get one over to UK, that would also be amazing. But we don't know any information about like whether the car is going to be available in right-hand drive, or if it's just going to be left-hand drive, or if it's even going to be sold in the UK/Europe/Asia. We have no idea. We did get a lot of information over from last night, but none of the sales information. We don't even know the pricing of it yet. So yeah, we do know that it's coming next year, and I am hyped. I don't even care that I don't even care if I don't get a chance to see one. I am hyped that finally there's gonna be a proper purpose-built 4x4 rather than something like a Range Rover or a Jeep Cherokee. Like, this thing is proper built. It's got 35-inch tires with Baja suspension. It's just nuts. So yeah, I am really interested in that. And if any of you guys who have managed to make it this far into a podcast, if you are on YouTube, up right now there'll be a poll right up here, and you can answer in the poll whether you are hyped for this new Ford Bronco or if you think it's absolutely trash and you think it's absolutely awful. You decide. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Should Mercedes make another SLR Mclaren? For those people who don't know, in 2003, a Mercedes launched a car called the SLR Mclaren, and what it was it was a 620 horsepower, 5.5 litre twin turbocharged V8 Grand Touring supercar, possible hypercar of its time, because of how much power it had. Wait, did I say it was twin turbocharged? It wasn't even turbocharged, it was supercharged. And it just looked amazing. It had side X at the source, and basically Mercedes teamed up with McLaren to actually make this car, which actually ended up to be quite a positive response, because after making that, Mercedes joined McLaren in Formula 1 for a fair few years, until Mercedes decided to make their own F1 team. So that turned out really, really well. The SLR is actually quite an underrated car as well. Not many people these days actually talk about it, and I think it's one of those cars that really needs a lot more love. I mean, I love the SLR. I think it's such an interesting piece of automotive art, as well as such a rocket when it comes to how fast it can actually go. And it's just, you just don't really hear people talking about it very often. However, lately, some people have been making some concept art, like designs for a possible replacement for the SLR. Whether this new one, if it does actually come out, I don't think it'll be called the McLaren, because I think Mercedes would just move to AMG to actually make this car for them, rather than going to like a different brand. Which, that's fine with me, because AMG at the moment is doing fantastic things for things like the AMG GTR. Of course, their first piece of work was on the SLS, which was a homage car to a 300 SL Going, and I think that is one of the most amazing cars to come out of Mercedes' doors. 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, gold windows. The car looks amazing. It drives like an absolute arse in a good way. I just mean that it likes to make smoke. Let's just put it that way. And I just think it's amazing. And once again, the SLS. It's one of those amazing cars that not many people talk about these days. It's really bizarre. And not many SLSs were made, actually. I don't know the whole number, but I really don't think many were made. I think, if anything, it was something like 1,000 cars that were made, and I think it's just amazing. If I had the money, I would have one. Although I would probably have issues with trying to open the door. The good news is that Mercedes did offer an option to have like an optional strap that you could have in case if you were short. Now, I'm not going to say that I am short, but for a person of my age at this time of year, I am 18 years old. I was born in 2002. For a person my age at this current year, I think I am short. I'm like 5'9" I think I am. I'm about 5'9", 5'10" and I just think I'm short, honestly. So I might need some of those door handle things. Otherwise, when the doors are up here, I can't reach them. So in terms of the SLR returning, I would love to see that. The only thing I would say is that I know that Mercedes is now moving out of having the 4 litre twin turbocharged V8, which I think, yes. Okay, when that engine first came out, people were a little bit off by it because it wasn't naturally aspirated, but that's a way the features going, and the reason Mercedes took that route was to do with emissions, and I see that because, well, quite frankly, having a naturally aspirated 6.2 litre V8, in terms of EU emissions or UK emissions, it's just not on. If you decided to bring that type of engine out now without having any like real like engine carbon emission mufflers or anything like that, like what Mercedes used to do, well, your car would be quite frankly shot. Quite frankly, your car would not pass the emissions and your car would fail. So that's why they've gone with 4 litre turbocharged engines. But they are now slowly moving away to the point where AMG models we're talking the big ones like the C63s, E classes, S classes, whatever it may be, will now be getting the twin turbocharged V6s that the AMG 43 and the 53 cars will be having. Now, that's where things kind of clock on. I think with where people are looking at it now, it's where it's like, oh come on, you're not even gonna add a V8 into an AMG. That's just not on. I think if we look back at what we thought, if it was like 5 years down the line, let's say in 2025, we would probably think, we probably would have just realised that this was gonna happen at some point, because in 2025, AMG models are more likely gonna go electric, you know. So yeah, it's not something that's like, I do get that people are angry at this and they will be annoyed, but there's nothing we can really do about it. European emissions suck, and I wished for that wasn't the case, because we all know very well that diesel cars and electric cars in the long term, although electric cars are going to get better, for now, electric cars are absolutely rubbish. And petrol cars are way more environmentally friendly than diesel cars, unless if you use your diesel car every day for about 100 miles every week or so. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame that that's happening, but we'll just have to deal with it. And it's gonna suck even more if Mercedes thinks that the best idea to solve it is by putting V8 engine soundtracks into the speakers of our cars' interiors. If they do that, I will not be happy. I would rather have a full-blown V6 than to have fake noises coming through the interior. Things like that are just not on. So yeah. Moving on. So Ferrari is in a bit of a problem here. It's not confirmed news, so I'm not sure if this is true or not. But Ferrari has been in some news that they, out of nowhere, I don't know how this has happened, but they've lost trademark licensing to the most prized procession, the 250 GTO. Now, in the actual case here, they've lost a license to 1964 250 GTO, which is the one that's got a flat with, and it's a one that for people who play Forza Motorsport 4, if you guys remember playing Forza in the on the Xbox 360, you will know this type of 250 GTO because it's basically the worst looking 250 GTO you could have. If you want a proper 250 GTO, then go for a 1962 model. That car really does say Ferrari in my mind. The 1964. Actually, what I can now see where they got the 250 LM from that 1964 GTO, because the LM was smaller than the than the 250 GTO, but all of the proportions, well, it's that same as the 1964 GTO. I've just realised that. That is weird. Anyway, so they've lost licensing to that car. What does that mean? Well, quite frankly, for those who don't like kit cars, you're gonna hate this news that I'm gonna say. It means that more and more companies are likely to be able to make kit car versions of the 250 GTO slant nose, or whatever you want to call it. They can easily make them as kit cars without having to be sued by Ferrari, because now Ferrari, for some reason, has lost a trademark licensing to that car. Now, I can very well show you that Ferrari is on the urge to try and get that trademark back. And I know that Ferrari is extremely angry about that. And if I'm honest, although I think it is a little bit funny that we've just randomly lost this licensing trademark for basically what is the most prized procession. I hope Ferrari actually gets their trademark back, because I do not want to see any more kit car models or anything like that ever again. I am the person who is fairly open to most car things, but kit cars is really off my mind. I do not get it. I do not understand it. I do not get a single thing about it at all. So friends, moving on to possibly the last thing that's on the list for episode 2 of the podcast. Hyundai is making a manual transmission for its N model cars, which is already fantastic, because I love the way Hyundai is actually going with the i30N, the Lost N, and I think at the moment there is in the works of the i20N, and who knows, an i10N. An i10N, I think that would be quite mental. So yeah, I love the way Hyundai is really going, and personally, because of Hyundai's uniqueness of their performance cars, and just how the cars at the moment are a little underrated, I would take one over something like a Volkswagen Golf or Focus RS, or a or even something like, let's think. No, just hatchbacks like those. I would rather have a front-wheel drive manual Hyundai. Also, they offer it in this colour. I can't remember the name of the colour. I'll just call it like Hyundai N Blue for now, but it's like a really pale ice blue, and it looks so interesting because there's areas where you think it looks like a really light grey, but then there's other parts where you're like, ooh, it's actually blue. Oh no, it's white. Oh no, it's actually grey. But that's so cool, because each of the N model cars come with red accents underneath the car, which I think really works with the way their cars are at. It's almost like as though Hyundai is trying to see what's a perfect for the purpose driver's hatchback, front wheel drive, manual gearbox. Although Hyundai has announced also that the N models are going to come with a dual clutch transmission, which I think will be very interesting. It'll be very good for the people who own these cars in the middle of towns where they are constantly in traffic 24/7. For me personally, I live out in the countryside, so a manual transmission is more on my mind. But I do like automatic gearboxes if they are a dual clutch gearbox. There you finally got that word out. Also, for those who probably were just probably thinking, why is this guy talking weirdly? Why is he stammering all the time? I can't help myself. I've got cerebral palsy. I have a stammer on top of my cerebral palsy. So I'm living with this, whether you like it or not. If you don't like this, if you don't like the way I talk, then, well, that's your problem, right? There's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, let's not rant about that. So, Hyundai making a manual transmission without a clutch pedal. This is going vice versa.
Oh, yeah. About Hyundai doing that, it's a very interesting thing to actually go through, because it's like vice versa from what Porsche do with their no shift manual gearbox slip thing, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the thing with the Porsche 911 GT3's manual gearbox, or any like 911 that's got manual gearboxes, is that you've got an option to use a thing called a blip. Now, if you press it to turn it on, what it allows you to do is basically change gear while doing the usual, like shift it with the hand, and then press and then with other things like pressing down the clutch and all that. But you don't have to take your right foot off the throttle. With what Hyundai is trying to do with this manual gearbox, I first thought was going to be something like that. But the fact that it's not going to include a clutch pedal means your left knee is going to get saved. So, what does that mean? Well, clearly, you could also say that this manual gearbox is going to be like a racing sequential gearbox, because the way how those gearboxes work is that you have a lever, and basically shifting it, I'm not sure if it's that way or that way, but basically you tap one way to shift up and then pull it the other way to shift down. But those gearboxes don't come with a clutch pedal. It's all done automatically. So I thought it was like that. A bit like what's in the Lycan Hypersport actually. But even that's not right, because the manual gearbox that Hyundai is going to use, it's like a proper manual gearbox where you have to go left and then up for first, down for second, back to the centre, up for third, down for fourth, to the right, fifth and sixth, just without a clutch pedal. And it's really got me thinking, how are they going to do this? In past recent years, we've had so many car manufacturers do crazy things with trying to make insane gearboxes. You've got Koenigsegg with their 9-speed light speed gearbox, which has 7 clutches in it, and for some reason, and with all that, makes it shift gears so fast that you don't notice it happening. Like it's just bouncing into gear, instant. With this manual gearbox from Hyundai, I have no idea how this is going to work out. Of course, there'll be some science behind it, which I think Hyundai will hopefully at some point show how it's made, because I am really interested to actually know how Hyundai is making this work. So yeah, that's everything that's to do with episode 2 of the Talk podcast. Why am I saying that? Anyway, I'd like to thank others for watching this podcast. If you did enjoy it, then please do the usual, which is always on YouTube or whatever. Hit like, subscribe to our channel if you enjoy this content, and I will see you next week. Talk to you guys later.